NCERT books are unavoidable to crack the IAS exam. Not only is the content of these books authentic, but these books also help a civil services aspirant to build conceptual clarity. And most importantly, lots of questions in the civil services examination are directly asked from NCERT books. But the aspirants often find it difficult to cover these books, or worse, they even end up ignoring these books. We at Unacademy IAS English are going to make the reading and understanding of the NCERT books easier. We present NCERT Fundamentals course, a free initiative of Unacademy IAS English. What are the highlights of this program? Comprehensive coverage of the most relevant NCERT books for the civil services exam. Prelims and mains practice questions in each session to test your understanding of the fundamental concepts. This course begins from 12th of July every day at 6 p.m. right here on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel now.
Hello and welcome to Unacademy, a one-stop destination for all English medium UPSC aspirants. Welcome to the new initiative, NCERT Fundamentals. NCERTs are very important for UPSC preparation. But when it comes to science, due to the technical nature of the subject, it is very difficult to study all the NCERTs from class 6 to class 12. To make this easier for the learners, we started this new initiative, NCERT Fundamentals. In these classes, I will be discussing some very important chapters from the science NCERTs. And in today's session, we are going to cover Unit 3 from the class 11, Cell, Structure and Function. But before we proceed with the session, a very important announcement. 2 comprehensive batches for the year 2025, the bilingual batch Manzil and the English medium batch Achievers are in progress. Do enroll before it is late. And importantly, don't miss to attend the biggest event, Unacademy UPSC Summit on July 20th and 21st. Let us now continue with our topic, cell, structure and function. Firstly, what is a cell? Cells are the building blocks of an organism. Just the way a wall is constructed with the bricks, same way an organism is constructed with the cells. Every cell, whatever might be the type, will definitely have 2 components. The first thing is cell membrane, which is also called as plasma membrane. And the second component is a fluid which is present inside the cell membrane, that is called cytoplasm. And the other structural details of the cell depends on whether the cell is a prokaryotic cell or a eukaryotic cell. Let us see the differences between prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell. Firstly, what the term implies. A prokaryotic cell. In this, the word karyo means nucleus. So, a prokaryotic cell is a cell without a true nucleus. And the second type of cell is a eukaryotic cell. As you already know, karyon is nucleus and the word eu means true. So, this is a cell with true nucleus. And what are the examples? Bacteria and archaea are the examples of prokaryotic cells. Mostly they are the unicellular organisms. Unicellular means their complete body is just one cell. And the examples for eukaryotic cells are all the plant cells and also the animal cells. Animals does not mean only the higher animals, it also means some insects and some very lower organisms as well. I mean, just accepting the bacteria and archaea, remaining all higher organisms are eukaryotic cells. Fine. The first and the most important difference between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell is the presence or absence of a true nucleus. But there is another very important difference. That is, if you observe a prokaryotic cell, it looks like a small open hall without any rooms inside. If you observe, there are no compartments inside this cell. But if you observe this eukaryotic cell, this is like a big home with lots of rooms inside. Okay, what am I referring as rooms here? These are nothing but organelles. Organelles. What are the organelles? Organelles are the small organs, or we have organs at the body level, isn't it? Like our lungs, kidneys, heart, brain. These are the organs. We have organs at the body level. Analogously, we have organelles at the cellular level. So, organelles are the cellular level organs. Like for example, in our body we have the brain. So, same way in the cell we have the nucleus. In the body we have the lungs. In the same way, in the cell we have mitochondria. So, the cellular level organs are called as organelles. So, the second and the most important difference between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells is the prokaryotic cell do not have any organelles inside, therefore it is like an open hall, no organelles. And eukaryotic cell is having so many organelles which are like the rooms. So I compared it with a home with lots of rooms. So this is a cell that lacks an organized nucleus or the true nucleus. Not only that, it is also lacking any membrane enclosed organelles. It will not have any organelles that are covered by the membranes. Same way, a eukaryotic cell is a cell that contains an organized nucleus. Also, it will have many other membrane enclosed, means membrane covered organelles. These are the two important differences between a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell. Second one, when it comes to the genetic material, in the prokaryotic cell, genetic material is present in the cytoplasm itself. If you observe, this is the genetic material, but that is not covered by the membrane. So we cannot call this as nucleus. We call this particular region as nucleoid. What is a nucleoid? It is just a region, or it is just a place where you have the genetic material. But if you observe the eukaryotic cell, here we have this DNA or the genetic material which is covered by the nucleus. So where do we have genetic material in the prokaryotic cell? Nucleoid, not a nucleus, but a nucleus-like place where the genetic material is present. And where do we have the genetic material in a eukaryotic cell? It is in the true nucleus which is covered by a nuclear membrane or a nuclear envelope. That is the other difference. Now let us focus on one more difference. Where do respiration occurs in the prokaryotic cell? Okay. You all know that the respiration in eukaryotic cell, the respiration occurs in mitochondria, isn't it? So I compared it with like lungs of the cell. We can call this as lungs of the cell. You also know that we call it as powerhouse of the cell. Why do we call it as powerhouse of the cell? Because it performs respiration and releases energy. Okay. And this energy is in the form of ATP, right? So that is about the mitochondria. So where does respiration occur in a eukaryotic cell? Mitochondria. But as you already know, prokaryotic cell do not have any organelles. It means mitochondria is absent in the prokaryotic cell. So where does respiration occur? In the mitochondria, in the prokaryotic cell. So if you observe a prokaryotic cell, the plasma membrane itself will get an invagination. I mean, it will be folded inside. It is folded inside. This structure is called as mesosome. This is not an organelle because it is not membrane enclosed. It is not closing it. It is just like a membrane invagination. The plasma membrane is folded inside and it will create a region where the respiration occurs. This is the place where the respiration occurs. So this structure is called as mesosome, but we cannot call it as an organelle because it is not covered by the membrane. It is not fully closed by the membrane. Same way, okay, where does the photosynthesis occur in the eukaryotic cell? Photosynthesis in the eukaryotic cell, as you all know, occurs in the chloroplast. But do we have chloroplast in the prokaryotic cells? No, there are no organelles inside the prokaryotic cells. So where does photosynthesis occur here? Same concept. The plasma membrane will get folded inside. Okay, there is a membrane invagination. Plasma membrane is folded inside and creates a region where the photosynthesis occurs. This structure is called as thylakoid. This structure is called as thylakoid. And these structures are present in what? They are in the prokaryotic cell. Whereas mitochondria and the chloroplast are in what? They are in the eukaryotic cell. Right? Okay. Can we call the mesosomes, the mesosome where the respiration occurs and the thylakoid where the photosynthesis occur, can we call them as organelles? No, because they are not closed, they are not enclosed by a membrane. Okay, so there are no organelles in the prokaryotic cell. Now coming to these differences, respiration occurs in mesosomes, which is a plasma membrane infolding where the respiration occurs, not an organelle. And in the eukaryote, respiration occurs in mitochondria, which is a double membraned cell organelle. Not only that it is covered by a membrane, it is covered by two membranes, that is mitochondria. Coming to more differences. The next difference is photosynthesis. As I already explained, we have a specialized organelle for the photosynthesis in the eukaryotic cell. What are they? Chloroplast. Just like mitochondria, chloroplast is also a double membraned cell organelle. If you remember, we are defining an organelle as a membrane enclosed structure. So can I call chloroplast as an organelle? Of course, yes, because it is not only covered by a membrane, it is covered by two membranes. So this is an organelle where the photosynthesis occurs. But prokaryotes do not have organelles. So where do photosynthesis occur here? Thylakoid. What is a thylakoid? Plasma membrane infolding. It is not enclosed by a membrane where the photosynthesis occur. Next. When it comes to the cell wall, the next difference we are discussing is cell wall. One should not get confused between cell membrane and a cell wall. As I already told you, all cells, it means let it be a prokaryotic cell or a eukaryotic cell. Okay, again in the eukaryotic cell, let it be a plant cell or an animal cell. All the cells without any exception will surely have a plasma membrane. It means if there is no plasma membrane, it is not a cell at all. If it is a cell, whatever might be the cell, plasma membrane will be definitely there. Okay, which is also called as cell membrane. Plasma membrane or cell membrane. So cell membrane is present in all the cells. But the other component we are discussing is cell wall. Okay, what is a cell wall? Cell wall is, if this is the cell membrane, there is an additional coating here. This is cell membrane and this is a cell wall. Do we have cell wall in the prokaryotic cells? Do we have cell wall in the prokaryotic cells? Bacteria? Yes. Okay. Prokaryotic cells or the bacteria do have the cell wall, and this cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. Peptidoglycan. And do animal cells have a cell wall? This is an animal cell. Do they have a cell membrane? Yes, cell membrane is present. Do they have a cell wall? No, cell wall is not present in the animal cells. Next, when it comes to plant cell. Do plant cells have a cell membrane? Yes, any cell will have a cell membrane. Plus, on the top of it, is a plant cell also having a cell wall? Yes, cell wall is present in the plant cells also. But that cell wall is made up of cellulose. So to summarize, prokaryotes, bacteria do have the cell wall and that is made up of peptidoglycan. And eukaryotes are two types, animal cells and plant cells. Animal cells do not have a cell wall and plant cells do have a cell wall, but that is not made up of peptidoglycan, but that is made up of cellulose. That is the other difference, cell wall. Cell wall made up of peptidoglycan in the prokaryotes. Cell wall made up of cellulose but only in the plant cells. Animal cells lack the cell wall. That is the difference about the cell wall. Next. The next difference is about vacuoles. By the way, is this chapter really important? To see the importance of this particular chapter, let us take the example of one of the previous year question from the year 2020. This question is all about the differences between different types of cells. Let us look at this particular cell after we also understand about these vacuoles. What are these vacuoles? Okay, these vacuoles, we are discussing now about vacuoles. What are these vacuoles? These are the organelles. Okay, why should I call them as organelles? Because they are membrane enclosed. So, do we have them in the prokaryotes? No, because I told you prokaryotes do not have any organelle. So, prokaryotes do not have vacuoles, isn't it? Okay, fine. Now comes to eukaryotes. Do eukaryotes have vacuoles? Okay. Eukaryotic cells are two types, right? Plant cells and animal cells. Plant cells have true vacuoles. Okay, what do I mean by true vacuoles? True vacuoles means the vacuoles which are covered by the membrane enclosed. That too, there is another very important criteria. That membrane should be made up of a lipid bilayer. What do you mean by lipid bilayer? Simple. Two layers of, bi means two layers of lipids. So every time when we are using the word membrane, whenever I am using the word membrane, membrane means a lipid bilayer. It means if it is not a lipid bilayer, then it is not a membrane at all. For example, if the cover is made up of proteins, can I call it as a membrane? No, it is not a true membrane. It is not a true membrane, because a true membrane must be made up of lipid bilayer, that is 2 layers of the lipids. Only plant cell will have a true vacuole which is made up of a lipid bilayer membrane. And animal cells, no vacuole. Animal cells do not have vacuoles. Is it clear? And how many vacuoles are present in the plant cell? Plant cells have only one vacuole, not many. A plant cell will have only one vacuole. Is that clear? A plant cell will have only one vacuole. Okay. And now I told you that the prokaryotic cell do not have a vacuole because they don't have any other organelles also. But sometimes prokaryotic cells do have something called as gas vacuole. Prokaryotes have something called gas vacuole. Why this is needed? For example, if the cell is having a gas vacuole which is filled with the gas, then what happens? It will help the cell to float. It will help the cell to float on the water. Fine. Why should a cell float on the water? For the photosynthesis. For the photosynthesis. Then you may get one doubt. We thought only plants will perform the photosynthesis. Do prokaryotes also perform photosynthesis? Yes. We have some photosynthetic bacteria. They perform photosynthesis. For that they need light. For the light they have to float onto the water. For them to float onto the water, they have a gas filled vacuole inside the cell. Then you may get one doubt. So, should we call it as an organelle? Should we call it as an organelle? No, because it is covered by a membrane made up of proteins. This is covered by a membrane made up of proteins. So, we cannot call it as a true membrane, and because it is not covered by a membrane, we cannot call it as an organelle. Means this is not a true vacuole. This is not a true vacuole. So, to summarize, do prokaryotes have a vacuole? Yes. Gas filled vacuoles to make the photosynthetic bacteria to float onto the water. But are they true vacuoles? No. Why are they not true vacuoles? Because they are not covered by a lipid bilayer membrane, a membrane made up of 2 layers of lipid. So therefore these are pseudo vacuoles, false vacuoles. Now coming to the eukaryotic cells. Do plant cells have a vacuole? Yes. This vacuole is covered by the lipid bilayer. This membrane is called as tonoplast. Look at the word tonoplast. What is tonoplast? Okay, this covering of the vacuole is called as a tonoplast. The outer covering of the vacuole, this is the vacuole. The outer covering of the vacuole is called as tonoplast. How many vacuoles are there in the plant cell? They have only one vacuole. Do animal cells have the vacuole? No. But animal cells have something called as lysosomes. Animal cells have something called as lysosomes. Some scientists believe that these lysosomes are similar to the vacuole in the function. But one difference is you have many small vacuoles in the animal cells, whereas you have only one big vacuole in the plant cell. Okay, let us give it a reading, the difference, vacuoles. Gas vacuoles in aquatic prokaryotes to help them float on the water for photosynthesis. But they are called as pseudo vacuoles. Why? Because they are covered by protein membrane, not a lipid bilayer. What bacteria have this kind of pseudo vacuoles or the gas vacuoles? Purple photosynthetic bacteria and green photosynthetic bacteria have them. Then, now, one large vacuole covered by tonoplast is the characteristic feature of plant cells. Means animal cells don't have it. Such vacuole is not found in the animal cells. However, some scientists opine that the lysosomes, many small lysosomes in the animal cells are functionally similar to the one single large vacuole in the plant cells. So this is the difference between plant cell and an animal cell with respect to the vacuole. Now let us try to solve this question. Look at the question. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the general difference between plant cell and animal cell? First, plant cells have cellulose cell wall while animal cells do not have? Yes, plant cells have a cell wall and animal cells do not have a cell wall. Correct. Plant cells do not have a plasma membrane unlike an animal cell? No, wrong. Plasma membrane is compulsory for a cell. If there is no plasma membrane, it is not a cell at all. Let it be bacteria, animal, plant, whatever is a cell, cell should contain the plasma membrane. So this is a wrong statement. Next. A mature plant cell has one large vacuole while animal cells have many small vacuoles. What are these vacuoles? These are actually called as lysosomes. But some scientists are assuming that the lysosomes in the animal cells are similar in function to the vacuoles present in the plant cells. So the correct answer is 1 and 3 only is the right answer. This type of questions are possible from this topic. They can ask you a question from the difference between plant cell, animal cell, or prokaryotic cell, eukaryotic cell, etc. Right? Then the next difference is in the plastids. Let us now try to understand what is a plastid. A plastid is a double membraned organelle, means not only a membrane, two membranes are there. So surely it is a organelle. Plus not only double membrane, plastids also have their own DNA. Plastids also have their own DNA. It means, let us suppose, look at here. This is a plant cell and this is the cell membrane and this is the cell wall and it will have the nucleus which will have DNA. We all know that DNA is present in the nucleus, but what is this one? This is a plastid. Okay, this is a plastid. Plastid is double membraned. There are two membranes here. Plus also there is DNA. It means in the plant cell we have DNA in the nucleus and also we have some DNA in the plastid. So what is a plastid? Plastids are organelles. They contain two membranes and they also contain some DNA. Okay. Do we have plastids in the prokaryotic cells? Do we have plastids in the prokaryotic cells? No, because they do not have any organelle, so they do not even have the plastid. Okay. Do we have plastids in the eukaryotic cell? Again, two types. We have eukaryotic cells, plant cells, animal cells. Do plant cells have plastids? Yes. Do animal cells have plastids? No. Animal cells do not have a plastid. Now, let us try to understand the different types of plastids. Right. A plastid will have two membranes and some DNA inside. In addition to that, if the plastid is having a colored substance called as chlorophyll, then we call that kind of a plastid as chloroplast. Okay. If the plastid, of course, the membranes and the DNA, in addition to that, if the plastid is having other colored pigments, any pigment other than chlorophyll like xanthophyll, yellow color, this is responsible for the yellow color of cucumber, yellow color of ripe mangoes or some flowers, etc. And anthocyanins. Cyano is a word related to blue color like that. So this is responsible for some purple color, different colors of fruits and all that. Okay. And carotenoids. It will remind us the carrots Okay, orange to red colors are because of these pigments. Okay, xanthophylls, anthocyanins, carotenoids or any colored substances other than the chlorophyll are present in these plastids. Third one, leucoplast. You all know that the word leuco means what? White. We say leukocytes, leukemia, white blood cell related cancer. Leuco means white. So what are leucoplast? White colored plastids. Why are they in white color? Because they do not have these pigments. Okay, then what do they have? They have different substances. If they have starch, okay, if they have starch, then they are called amyloplast, because amylo is a word for starch called as amylose. Amylose is a type of starch. Okay. If they store proteins, then they are called proteinoplast. If they store oils, you know that plants will have oils, right? Some groundnuts, sesame, etc. Okay. If they store oils, fats, then they are called elaioplast. Ela, oil, la sound. You can remember like that. So these are the different plastids. You all know that animal cells do not have chloroplast. Everybody know that. But here one detail I want to add is not only chloroplast, all the plastids are present only in the plant cell and are not present in the animal cell. So this is the point regarding the plastids. Okay, right. So let us cross check whether we completed all these points. Yes, right. Okay, next. So now let us try to understand about ribosomes. The next topic is about ribosomes. So what is a ribosome? Ribosome is a factory of protein synthesis. All the proteins we need are produced in the ribosomes. First, is this an organelle? No, it is not an organelle. Why this is not an organelle? Because it is not covered by a lipid bilayer membrane. So any structure, if it is not covered by a lipid bilayer membrane, we do not call it as an organelle at all. Is it clear? Right. So ribosomes are not organelles. Now, can prokaryotes have ribosomes? Can prokaryotes have ribosomes? Yes, prokaryotes have ribosomes. And eukaryotes also have ribosomes. Okay, in the eukaryotes, plants and animals, yes, both of them have ribosomes, because let it be a bacterial cell or a plant cell or an animal cell, every cell need proteins and the proteins are produced in the ribosomes. So a cell should definitely contain the ribosomes, but they have different types of ribosomes. Prokaryotes have 70 S ribosomes, whereas eukaryotes, plants and animals, both of them have 80 S ribosomes. What is S? S is Swedberg unit. Swedberg unit. This is the unit for density. It means eukaryotic ribosomes are more denser, heavier, larger also. And prokaryotic ribosomes are less dense and smaller as well. So, ribosomes are present in all the cells, prokaryotes and also eukaryotes, both plants and animal cells. And prokaryotes have smaller ribosomes called 70S ribosomes and eukaryotes have bigger ribosomes called as 80S ribosomes. What is the function of the ribosomes? They are the factories for protein synthesis. All our proteins are synthesized here. And these ribosomes, I told you that they are not called as organelles. Then what are they called as? They are called as particles. They are not called organelles because they are not covered by a lipid bilayer membrane. Then they are called as what? Particles. Okay, so coming to that point here, ribosomes are found in the prokaryotes, but they are 70S. As they are not organelles, they can be present in the prokaryotic cells, but they can be categorized as particles. and ribosomes found in the eukaryotic cells also, but they are ATS, and these are present in both plant cells and also the animal cells. Okay, then coming to with the differences being completed, now we are going to enter into the next part of this class, that is what are the functions. In this part we are going to see different organelles and the function of each organelle, different organelles and the function of each organelle. Coming to the nucleus first. Of course, I told you nucleus will contain the genetic material. What is the genetic material? DNA. This is the place where the DNA is present. But of course, prokaryotes don't have the nucleus. So the DNA is present in the nucleoid, right? And it works like the brain of the cell. I mean, just like the brain controls the total body, and the nucleus will control the total cell. So we can compare. I told you that organelles are the cellular level organs. So just like at the body level we have the brain, at the cellular level we have this nucleus. And replication and transcription occurs in the nucleus. Okay. What is replication? What is transcription? Let us try to understand that. We have DNA, right? If the DNA again gets copied into DNA, I mean we get the second copy, we call that process as replication. In replication we have a word replica. Replica means what? Copy. If you copy the DNA to get one more copy of the DNA, that is called replication. And then what happens is, our DNA produces proteins. DNA produces proteins, but DNA will not produce the protein directly. There is another intermediate step, that is called RNA. What is RNA? Ribonucleic acid. Ribonucleic acid. What is DNA? Deoxyribonucleic acid. Right. Then the DNA will get converted to RNA. That process is called as transcription. That process is called as transcription. And then the RNA will get converted into proteins. And this process is called as translation. Okay. Then what are the functions of the nucleus? If you remember, we are discussing about nucleus. So what are the functions of the nucleus? Replication and transcription of the DNA occurs in the nucleus. The DNA getting copied into one more copy of the DNA, and then the DNA getting converted into RNA, that is transcription. These two occur in the nucleus, right? Next, nucleolus. Don't get confused. This is nucleolus, not nucleus. Nucleolus. What is this? We have, see, this is cell. Inside the cell you have nucleus and you have nucleolus. Inside the nucleus, where is nucleolus present? Inside the nucleus. And I need not tell you, all this topic is applicable only for eukaryotic cell. Why like that? Because we are discussing different organelles and their functions, and remember, we do not have organelles in the prokaryotic cells. So this entire topic, organelles and their functions, is applicable only for the eukaryotic cells. Okay, nucleolus. Where is it present? Inside the nucleus. What is its function? This is the region where the ribosomes are formed. You already know about ribosomes. Those ribosomes are formed here. Next, chloroplast. These organelles where photosynthesis happens, right? Responsible for the green color of the plant. Next one, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex. Let us try to understand this one. Okay, look at here, cell, right? Then nucleus. Then after that you have a structure like this. Okay, this one. We can call this as smooth endoplasmic. Memorize the word endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. And after this we have, this is also endoplasmic reticulum only, but you have ribosomes on this. You have ribosomes on this. So this looks rough. Why does it look rough? Because ribosomes are present. It will give a granular appearance. So we call this as rough endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. I hope it is clear. Right. After that you have another structure called as Golgi complex. Golgi complex. I will try to show this in this image. Okay, look at here. This is the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Can you see granule-like structures here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Granule-like structures. What are these granule-like structures? Ribosomes. So this will give a rough appearance to it. So therefore we call it as rough endoplasmic reticulum. And can you see this blue color structure here? Blue color, right? That blue color structure is nothing but Golgi complex. Golgi complex. So nucleus, after that smooth endoplasmic reticulum, then rough endoplasmic reticulum, and then Golgi complex. So this is the structure. So now let us try to understand their function. What is the function of this smooth endoplasmic reticulum and rough endoplasmic reticulum? Look at here. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum will produce lipids. What do you mean by lipids? Fats, right? Then rough endoplasmic reticulum will produce proteins. I hope you can connect the dots. Okay, I told you that why it is called rough endoplasmic reticulum, because ribosomes are present. And you know that ribosomes produce proteins. So what is the function of rough endoplasmic reticulum? They produce proteins. What is the function of smooth endoplasmic reticulum? They produce lipids. Lipids means what? Fats. Then the smooth endoplasmic reticulum will give fats to the Golgi complex. Is it clear? And rough endoplasmic reticulum will give proteins to the Golgi complex. Is it clear? Then Golgi complex is like a post office. In a post office, what they will do? They will sort out the letters, isn't it? Letters that should go to this colony, letters that should go to the other colony. Based on the pin code, they sort out the letters. So same way here, it will sort out the proteins and fats needed for different organelles. Is it clear? Like for example, okay, these are the proteins and fats needed for chloroplast. These are the proteins and fats needed for lysosomes. These are the proteins and fats needed for the nucleus. So, Golgi complex is like a post office where these proteins and fats are sorted out according to where they should be transported. And also it will, then next what it will do is, it will pack the proteins and lipids in some small structures like vesicles, like small vesicles like this. And what are these vesicles? These are like postmen, okay, the couriers. What they will do? They will carry these fats and proteins to different organelles. Whatever proteins that should go to the chloroplast, they will carry these to the some of them will go to chloroplast, some of them will go to mitochondria, some of them will go to nucleus. If they have the proteins and fats needed for the chloroplast, they will hand over them to the chloroplast, like that. I repeat, Smooth endoplasmic reticulum produces lipids, rough endoplasmic reticulum produces proteins, and they will hand over both of them to the Golgi complex. It is like a post office. It will sort out all these proteins and fats depending on to which organelle they should be transported, and then it will pack it in some small vesicles. These vesicles are like couriers or the postmen. They will carry these proteins and fats to the respective organelles. So that is the function of these smooth endoplasmic reticulum. It will form lipids for the plasma membrane and the membranes for the other organelles. Why do different organelles require these lipids to form their membranes? Right. Rough endoplasmic reticulum. It will produce proteins and it will send these to the Golgi complex. Then what Golgi apparatus are also called as Golgi complex, what it will do? It will modify, it will sort and transport the proteins and the lipids to their target organelles. Right. Next, mitochondria. All of you know that it will perform the respiration. Ribosomes, you know that, okay, they will produce the proteins. Lysosomes. Did you hear the word suicidal bags of the cell? Inside the cell, if any organelle's lifespan is completed, then that organelle should get disintegrated, and this will enter into the lysosomes and there it will get disintegrated. Lysosomes are acid filled bags. Okay, this is the place where we have degradative enzymes and also very acidic pH. So anything enters into the lysosome will get disintegrated, just like anything goes into the vicinity of a black hole can never come back. So anything that goes into the lysosome can never come back. So we call them as lysosomes. We can compare it with the stomach of the cell. Just like we have stomach at the body level, cellular level we have lysosomes. Next, vacuoles, already discussed. One large vacuole in the plant cell, and animal cells will not have a vacuole, but they will have many lysosomes, and the lysosomes are comparable to the vacuole. It stores water, salts, carbohydrates, etc. Cytoskeleton. The name itself is explaining, just like we have skeleton in the body, bones. What the skeleton will do to our body? It will give a structure to our body and a support, and it will maintain the shape of our body. Our body is in this shape only because we have the bones. But what will maintain the structure of a cell? Why the cell is only spherical like this? Why the cell is not something like this? That is because cytoskeleton. Cytoskeleton is made up of, okay, some it is made up of some fibers. Cytoskeleton is made up of some thread-like structure, fibers. That is cytoskeleton. Cytoplasm. I told you this is like the medium. It is the fluid in which all these organelles are present. Okay. Cell membrane. It controls what comes into the cell and what goes out of the cell. If this is not there, there is no cell at all. Next, it is the limiting membrane of the cell. Outside this, it's not the cell. Inside this, it is the cell. And cell wall. It gives extra strength to the cell, and I told you that bacteria have a cell wall made up of peptidoglycan. Plants have a cell wall made up of cellulose, and animal cells do not have a cell wall. Centriole. Centriole. Okay, memorize the word. It helps in the cell division. Cell division means one cell dividing into two cells. In that process, we need the function of this centriole. Okay, fine. With that, we completed the cell structure. Now, let us try to understand what are the biomolecules and the biopolymers. Biomolecules means what? Molecules in the living organisms. Biopolymers means what? Polymers in the living organisms. Okay. What are the four biomolecules? We have only four biomolecules. First one is amino acids. The first one is amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of the protein. It means, look at here. If this is one amino acid, this complete chain is called as the protein. You all know what are the proteins, right? Collagen protein in the muscle, keratin protein in the hair, like that. These proteins are made up of individual units called as amino acids. Next, fats. Fats will make up the lipids. I mean, if this is a fat, This is a lipid. Next, we have sugars. You know sugars, glucose, fructose, fruit sugar, lactose, milk sugar, galactose, sugar in the vegetables, sugars. If this is one sugar, the chain of sugars, polymer means what? Poly means many, mer means unit, polymer, biopolymers, right? So if this is the sugar, this is called as carbohydrate. High carb diet, low carb diet, we say that carbohydrates. Next, nucleotides. Why are they called nucleotides? Because they are present inside the nucleus. What are they? They are the building blocks of our DNA and RNA. DNA and RNA, I mean, okay, if this is one nucleotide, then its polymer. Its polymer is called as nucleic acid. And we have two types of nucleic acids, DNA and RNA. This is about biomolecules and the biopolymers. Lastly, we have to see the cell division. Cell division. Cell division means one cell breaking into two cells. We call this as parent cell and we call them as daughter cells, not son cells, only daughter cells, right? We have different types of cell division depending on the type of the cell. What do we call the cell division in the prokaryotic cells? In the prokaryotic cell, we call the cell division as amitosis. Amitosis is the name of the cell division in the prokaryotic cells, bacteria and all that, right? Then, in the eukaryotic cells, the cell division occurs in two ways. We have two types of cell division, okay, that is mitosis and meiosis. Both of these occur in the eukaryotic cells only, not prokaryotic cells. In prokaryotic cells, you have mitosis. Now, let us see some differences between mitosis and meiosis. Let us try to understand some differences between mitosis and meiosis. First, mitosis will have only one division. Meiosis will have two divisions. Let me explain that. Okay, see, if you take mitosis, here one cell divides only once. So, if one cell divides only once, then it will form how many cells? Two cells. That is the second point. Okay, so here there is only one cell division. Okay, there is only one cell division and forms only two daughter cells. Whereas if you take meiosis, in meiosis what happens is the cell divides once. This is first division. We call it as meiosis 1, and then it will form two cells and these two cells will again divide. This is called as meiosis 2, the second division. If this second division occur, how many cells we get? We get 4 cells. That is the meaning of this, forms 4 daughter cells, right? Now the third difference, mitosis forms. Please notice this carefully. I am not saying that mitosis occurs in, no, mitosis forms the somatic cells. It means these are somatic cells. Mitosis forms somatic cells, right? Then you may get one doubt, what are the somatic cells? Somatic cells means what? The word soma means body. So somatic cell means body cell. Means what? Any cell present in your body is a somatic cell. Like skin cell is a somatic cell, heart cell is a somatic cell, pancreatic cell is a somatic cell, like that. Okay. So mitosis forms somatic cells. Meiosis forms gametes. Meiosis forms gametes. What do you mean by gametes? Gametes are the reproductive cells. Gametes are reproductive cells. Like female gametes are eggs and male gametes are sperms. So meiosis forms gametes. Okay, right. So forms somatic cells, forms gametes. and mitosis is called as equational cell division. Fine. Why mitosis is called as equational cell division? Because here you have 46 chromosomes. Here also you have 46. Here also you have 46. It means number of chromosomes is equal in parent cell and daughter cell. Therefore, this is called as equational cell division. Number of chromosomes equal in parent cell, daughter cell. Then you may get one doubt how it is possible. If you cut the cell into two, then it is supposed to have only 23 chromosomes here, 23 chromosomes here. No, because there is a replication in between. It means the genetic material will first double, means 46 will become 92. And then it will divide into 46. So this is called equational cell division. Meiosis is called reductional cell division. We call this as reductional cell division. Why this is called reductional cell division? Because here you have 46 chromosomes, okay, but here you have only 23 chromosomes. It means the daughter cell will have half the number of chromosomes. Half the number of chromosomes when compared to the parent cell. Is it clear? Therefore, it is called as reductional cell division. Why this occurs? Because there is no replication here. Without replication, 46 will directly get divided. So, both the cells will get 23 chromosomes each. And each of these cells also will have 23 chromosomes. Why again there is no reduction? Because there will be a replication here. Before the second division, 23 will become 46 and then again it will divide. So, each cell will get 23 chromosomes. I repeat, this 23 first will become 46 and then it will divide into 2. So, the two cells will get 23. This 23 first will become 46 by replication and then it will divide into these two, 23. So, meiosis forms gametes and each gamete will have only half the number of chromosomes as the parent cell. So, these gametes are haploid, half the number of chromosomes. So, therefore, they are called as haploid cells. Okay. So, this is equational cell division, diploid parent cell. Okay. So, let us just try to understand one word. What do you mean by diploid and what do you mean by haploid? Okay. Diploid means, okay, for example, you have 23, means total how many? 46 chromosomes. This 23 comes from the mother and this 23 comes from the father. I repeat, in our body, every cell is having 46 chromosomes. In that, 23 comes from the mother, 23 comes from the father. And what is the meaning of the word ploid? Ploid means, okay, one set of 23 chromosomes. Okay, one group, the entire group, not one or two chromosomes. The total set of 23 chromosomes or the total set of chromosomes coming from one parent. Okay, a group of 23 chromosomes is called as one ploid. So now you tell me how many ploids you can see in this particular cell. This is one ploid, means 23 chromosomes, and this is one ploid, means again 23 chromosomes. So this cell is a diploid cell. There are two ploids in this cell, one ploid coming from the mother, one ploid coming from the father. But if you take an egg cell or a sperm cell, an egg cell will have only 23 chromosomes, a sperm cell will have only 23 chromosomes. So therefore this is only half the diploid cell, isn't it? So therefore it will have only 23 chromosomes. Half the diploid cell is haploid, So gametes are haploid, but our somatic cells are diploid. So mitosis is equational cell division where a diploid parent cell forms two diploid daughter cells. So therefore parent cell is also diploid, daughter cell is also diploid, equational cell division. Whereas meiosis is Reductional cell division, where a diploid parent cell will form 4 haploid daughter cells. Is it clear? So therefore it is called as reductional cell division. Okay, I will try to just put it more clearly. Okay, in mitosis, what happens? You have 46 here. Okay, then there will be replication, then after that it will divide, so you will have 46, 46. So this is diploid, this is also diploid. Why? Because 2 into 23, 23 is one ploid. Okay, right, this is also diploid. Parent cell is also diploid, daughter cell is also diploid. Therefore it is called as equational cell division, right? Okay, then if you take meiosis, in meiosis parent cell will have 46, the 2 daughter cells will have 23, 23, means there are 2 ploids here, but there is only one ploid here. Okay, and again they will divide to form 4 cells which are all haploid. Okay. Okay, 23, 23, 23, 23. Okay, so 4 cells, all of them are haploid. Okay, haploid means what? Half the diploid. So therefore we call them as haploid. Therefore it is called reductional cell division. Okay, so this is the difference between mitosis, meiosis. Okay, and then one last point here is mitosis or meiosis will have 4 phases. What are they? Prophase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase. Okay, should we understand the meaning of these phases? Not needed for UPSC, right? But all these 4 phases together forms M. M means either mitosis or meiosis. Mitosis, meiosis, both of them will have these 4 phases. So, M phase is divided into 4 phases. Prophase, pro means primitive, early, so the first phase. Meta means middle, the second phase, middle phase, metaphase. Then anaphase is telo. Telo means what? End, tail, telo, end. The last phase is called telophase. We need not understand what are these phases, but just remember that these are the 4 phases, 4 stages within either mitosis or meiosis, that is the M phase. After mitosis or meiosis is completed, you will have a gap phase, G1, S, G2. In the G1 what happens? In the G1, okay, the cell will grow in size. In the synthetic phase what happens? The DNA will replicate. The DNA will replicate. And in the G2 what happens? Further the growth continues. Growth continues, and if at all there are any mistakes, these mistakes will be corrected. Okay, and this is the gap between 2 mitosis or 2 meiosis. Between 2 events of mitosis, just like say for example, a newborn baby, a baby is just born. A just born baby cannot again reproduce, right? The just born baby should grow. And again when the baby comes to the reproductive stage, then the baby will reproduce. The same way, the newly formed daughter cells are in the growth phase, G1, S, G2. In the G1 what happens? Grows. The newly formed daughter cell grows just like the newborn baby grows. Okay, and synthetic phase what happens? The DNA will replicate. In the G2 phase what happens? The growth continues because you have to grow to the size. The cell should grow to the size of being capable of again dividing. Okay, then after that finally this gap or the growth phase is completed. Then the newly formed cell is again ready for the next round of M phase, that is mitosis or meiosis. Right. So that's all for today's session. We completed the unit 3 from the class 11 science NCERT, that is cell structure and function. Thank you so much. Do let me know in the comments. Thank you.